I think our best example of Azami on Villa that I've seen this stage has got to be Alamo for G2, and the way that he plays it into Master Bedroom, it is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of time and utility that he's able to burn in there, not to mention the kills that he picks up along the way. So no surprise to see Azami go as well. Very powerful operator on this map and in general. But that is going to be our bans: Flores, Nock, Valkyrie and Azami.
It's when the Azami gets paired up with the Castle on this map that she's really a terror, because you have so many spots you can lock down with. Castle barricades, they get taken out by Zofia, Ashe, Gone Sixes, you name it, you replace it with a Kiba barricade. It's just frustrating. It's the only way I can describe it. You run out of utility, you're playing into a really disadvantageous situation that the defenders feel more than comfortable to deal with. We're going to start out in AVG though, Tim, to kick things off, and looking on the defensive side for Rogue, you've got Deepek going across onto that Echo. Something he has played all tournament long, using those Yokai drones incredibly aggressively to help support the roamers. So here you might see players like Kanto, like Spoit, getting busy out around the map, supported by those Yokai drones. Here they are.
Indeed, going to be looking to hold on to the north side of the map. So what Rogue are playing into here is an expectation that FaZe are going to try to push in from the Masters side. I would expect to see FaZe wanting to get themselves inside of Study as well. Are we going to see the little textbook play of the Yokai drone up and down the hatch there or not? We'll see. It can be a nice one just to keep that information coming in without losing the Yokai drone. Attacker's not always aware of it. That's going to be one Twitch drone taken down, but that's going to be one Kanto Raketti taken down. Astro with a big opening headshot.
This is why we always talk about shoot and move with drones. You get seen by a drone, shoot it and move fast. But even then, Astro was ready for the cut on the south side. So they've basically torn the map in half here, and anyone else who was still roaming up towards that north side would have been in a spot of hot bother. Thankfully, Kanto was the only one, so Rogue shouldn't lose too much more on this top side of the map. But very quickly, it has meant that pretty much all of them are pulled back down towards site, and FaZe has done a good job at getting top side control.
This is absolutely rapid from Sage. They're inside of a minute. They've got complete control up to trophy and statuary, and are now looking at moving into 90 corridor. Cameraman's working on the 90 window as well to try and keep Spoit at bay, and that will allow Cyber, Astro, Souls all to start moving down and claiming more and more ground. Bullet, he's one to keep an eye on here, Des. Just playing underneath on the Finker. He's going to be looking for a nade. There is no two ways about it.
Yokai's doing a lot of work. Oh, that's unfortunate as well. I think that was I don't know what it was. In fact, it was a nade from below that killed the Yokai that was just coming around 90. Unfortunate timing. But Spoit finds Cyber, who steps around, feeling that spot is clear. It absolutely was not. Spoit's still ready to go for the challenge and pulls it to a 4v4.
Really big kill for Rogue. It allows them to keep fighting in 90 corridor. If Cyber is able to keep Spoit at bay there, that becomes a lot more difficult. But Astro has quickly stepped up and looked to keep taking that ground. Sends the Gun 6 in, but it's going to be caught out by a Wamai Magnet, so the nade has to follow as well, looking to clear out utility before getting back on the Iana clone, just to send it into sight and see what's going on. Bullet with a bit of a blind spray from underneath to see if he can try and catch Spoit, but Spoit's not going to be caught out that easily.
Now the nerve about Leon, who was playing inside a Study and instantly drops as well. Might get challenged from elsewhere as Crying hits the deck on main stairs. Leon's coming in for a little bit of support, but has to know that he's coming up against a Finker, and it ain't easy to win those out. Down goes a second at the hands of Bullet, and a plant is going down. Deepek's got to step through and win the fight against Souls, which he does do, and steps in, but can't find the man who's planting. Astro puts him in the ground, and Bullet finds a fourth in the round, it feels, Tim. What a first round from FaZe.
It was clinical, wasn't it? They got themselves into 90 corridor very, very quickly. The play from Bullet underneath on the Finker, taking down both Crying and Leon. Leon just really not sure of his position, caught out, sprinting, not in a position to take the engagement, and it was just so well played by FaZe whilst all that's going on that Astro moves in, not only gets the plant but manages to get the kill onto Deepek as well. Absolutely solid from them on the attack. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rogue move on and try a different side.
That's exactly what they're going to do here, stepping into Trophy and Statuary instead, probably playing through their 3-site rotation. We'll return back towards Aviator Games in round 4. On the defensive lineup, though, we're seeing things like the Mozzie coming in. Something that we saw, the Mute Mozzie pairing leaning in a lot on the defenses of Rogue back on border. Again, just looking to really stifle FaZe's information game and keep them slowed down. But Tim, I can't help but look towards the lineup currently coming out from FaZe as well. They've seen what site they're on, and they've said, all right, we've got a plan for this one. We've got an Ossa, we've got a Ying on board. given what we saw back in round 1 of Border, I'm just thinking this is going to be a hard and fast site execute.
I'm guessing there's going to be a pretty oppressive round coming up for Rogue here. They're going to be really pinned back if they allow them to get that map control. But playing underneath so heavily with so much utility may well be able to slow down the Faze push.
Small chance going on now. I tell you what, if Fresh has got in the audience and started some chants, I won't be happy. He's been walking around.
He's been
all
talking
morning.
about it. He's been singing for days.
He ain't stopped. Every time he comes into the green room, our little talent room, we wait before we go on broadcast. He's chanting a new chant from somewhere.
Round 2 is underway, 30 seconds into the action. Faze haven't managed to get themselves into the map quite as quickly as they did last time around. Astro just looking to clear out the barricade, but it just allows Spite to throw a long-range Nitro, really gets his arm behind it and takes Souls down.
This Deepek now in danger as well inside of Memorial. A nade following him through from the back end of Cyber, but nothing to be found there as Deepek had already stepped himself far away. Astra in a key spot as well for the attackers, getting inside of Master. You're looking for a shield to go inside of that bedroom door and just plant on the hard concrete, unable to be taken out from below, but also in a good spot where you're covered by the shield. It is the perfect setup to go for a plant, but you do need some good cover. The Candelas no doubt providing that alongside the smokes as well. Additional nades still in Bullet's back pocket. So FaZe still have the tools to make this attack work.
They do, but they need to be cautious of what's going on underneath as well. Kanto is still down there on the Melusi. He's in a position to potentially push up Astro stairs. He's going to hold himself there for the time being. Cyber is working to clear underneath here, but he's drawn him for himself, and that is going to slow him down. He just checks that he's clear to go in, but he doesn't check the right angle, Des, because Kanto's moved in and manages to get a headshot.
In come the Candelas, oh, this is the execute that we were talking about, and Astro is in position, punching out the shield here, takes away his own vision so he can try and make this plan happen. Shoots out the Nitro as well, and is in a good spot, but here comes the push. He finds 2 as Rogue step in for the retake. Can they hold on? C4 over the top brings him down, and Cameraman and Bullet have got to recover this.
Crying, he goes for the challenge, but he's going to be taken down. Bullet doing the first piece of work that FaZe need, leaving themselves now 2v2. Plenty of time as Bullet manages to find Spite on a beautiful angle, taking his head off. It's all up to Kanto now, 1v2. They know he's coming, Des. This is not going to be pretty, I don't think, as he comes around the corner into the man. Bullet with the final kill as well. Bullet has just rescued that round for FaZe.
6 kills inside 2 rounds. I'm pretty sure that was an ace. It didn't flag up, but he got 1 kill in the first round.
Astro got 2.
I think someone else had 4 in the round, or collected 2, so 4 in total after it. Either way, another big round from Bullet. At the start of the last game on Border, we sat down and looked at Souls and said he's 8-2 after just 4 rounds. Here, it's another player stepping into that void and filling it, picking up the kills for the team, making sure rounds that feel unwinnable, like that round, still go the way of FaZe.
It's certainly not dampening the spirits of everybody here in Berlin. Plenty of noise still being made for Rogue, but FaZe, it is not phasing them in the slightest. Picking up round after round at the moment. They're going to be attacking onto Trophy and Statuary once again. They can rinse and repeat realistically. The problem that I think Rogue are facing here is, let's not forget, they got an opening kill off the back of a Nitro from Spite last time around. I don't think that's going to happen this time. Souls is going to be aware, and they're not going to get away with the same. So, whereas Rogue had a man advantage last time, they've got to come up with a new plan to get it this time, and they're going to be working with a hard breacher on site, which didn't happen last time.
Well, Rogue feel like they've got it at this point as well. They're going back to the same side of Trophy and Statuary. It's an alternative lineup coming in from FaZe. So they've dropped away from the Ossa execute. They're changing things up a little bit. And again, it's one thing I'm really enjoying about FaZe is every single round is different. They won't try and run the same attacking patterns. They will change up on defense as well, what operators they're running. They're showing that flexibility that just keeps other teams guessing from start to finish.
I think they're going to be looking for that ground floor clearance again. Cyber went in on his own last time, but looking like he might have a bit of support from Astro this time as Cameraman gets himself up onto the rappel and goes above. Bullet's drone is ahead of him as well, so there is a lot of work going on this bottom floor from FaZe just to ensure that it's clear. Deepek is playing over by the red stairs. I think he's gone all the way down into the basement here, and that is one of those areas, as we say, Des, that people just disappear into. Leon with a big opener onto Astro.
It's a good start. The thing is, I'm a little bit nervous about getting too excited for Rogue. We've seen these situations where they've found the entry and then just lose 2 or 3 members in the mid-round, and before you know it, Faze is staring down a 4 versus 2. So we'll see how the rest of the round proceeds from here, at least in the next 60 seconds or so. Faze doing a lot of work in droning up on the top floor, just to figure out where these last couple of players are hiding. Spoit, who was inside of Astro, for example, is still holding firm.
Deepak is going to be spotted out there. He nearly kept himself off the radar, but now that Faze are aware, they're going to be focusing on those staircases from which he will have to return. Little peek from Leon. Doesn't manage to find his man inside of Closet. He's pretty confident that the window is clear, though. He's looking to make a challenge if he can, but the opportunity's not there. Cut down by Souls as he moves into support, and that's going to be 4v4.
Looking a little bit low there, Leon, as well, rather than looking at head height, expecting maybe a crouch height player to be sat on drones or getting ready for a drone potentially, but instead being caught out for free. Now Crying's the one looking to mobilize, and this is exactly what Rogue did to Faze back on map 1, is play it slow and just let the defenders be the ones that try and move into you. Rogue almost going and looking for trouble, and Faze are more than happy to pick him up as and when. The bulletproof survives. Crying has got that cover to take out the shock drone.
Big kill onto the shock drone there, just leaving that utility in place and making it a little bit more difficult for Faze to be able to push in or launch any sort of sneak attack. But Cameraman doesn't need to sneak about anything. He's going to take the quick peek instead and hit Spoit with a headshot. Souls onto Crying. You picked it up yourself, Des. You said too many times, Rogue, get the opener, and then find themselves 4-2 down as Faze just chip away and take one man at a time. Here comes Kanto on the flank, shut down in bathroom by Souls. 4v1. Deepak manages to get one, but it's likely to be his last. No, manages to find a second. It's 1v2 now. He's got about 15 HP, but there is a chance.
The diffuser's down as well. That's the big one for him. Stepping across here. They hold the angle, but Deepak, Big ET could go huge here. The 1v1. Cameraman stepping out far into the distance to look for a plant, and Deepak should know about it. He's holding tight, knows that this plant is going down, but can he get there in time? Cameraman's going to complete. Big ET finds a huge 4K and gives Rogue their first round on Villa.
Absolutely massive from Deepak there, who jumps up, waving to the crowd. I'm a little bit worried about him holding that key down. Keep that diffuser going, Deepak. There's a lot of support here for him in Berlin, though, after a huge moment for his team there. Quad kill to lock down the clutch, and honestly, Des, I cannot overstate how much Rogue needed that 1v4.
You'll take multi-kills every day of the week if it gets you some round wins, Tim. Looking back at map 1, we spoke about Souls, we spoke about Cyber, we spoke about Bullet. Just multi-kill after multi-kill, giving Faze some really tough rounds. You saw it in the one prior. Bullet picking up a 4K to ensure even when that diffuser was down and they couldn't quite stick the plant, he was still able to close the round out for his team. That doesn't necessarily take away all the sins from Rogue, mind you. They've still got to find some more defensive rounds here. They're still down 2-1 on their defensive half of Villa, and I still feel they're swinging a little bit too aggressively here, getting mobile, looking to disrupt Faze, which I understand is part of the necessity in today's Siege game, but you're making it too easy. They're holding angles, they're waiting for you to come pushing, and whilst you're trying to guess what doorway they're going to be in, what window they're holding, they're just popping you in the skull for free. That's it.
That's got to be, for me, the line that they draw under this Faze attack here. They can't allow them to keep getting on top of every round, and they can't rely on 1v4s. Rogue, Spoit going to be getting off into the map. Kanto's down on the underneath with him. They're going to be defending Aviator and Games this time. Last time, Faze was super aggressive, getting themselves into the north side of the map. Kanto worries me a little bit. It's a flashback to round 1. He was in the same position. He moved through. Astro cut him down with a big opener. They can't lose somebody that quickly, that easily this time, because it just opened the floodgates for Faze last time. They were able to just dive their way in and take control of everything they needed.
Looking at that Capital coming in for Cameraman. Something I've seen a couple of times from LATAM teams. We saw it in the semi-final yesterday between Faze and W7M. A really good execute on Oregon to plant inside a kitchen when they had both dining door and green door burnt out by those fireballs, preventing the defenders from getting back in and stopping that plant going down. No doubt Faze looking for something similar here. One of the operators that I still consider to be one of the strongest in the game as well. 2 smokes and 2 firebolts at 3 speed with decent guns. Just brings so much, and of course that's the hard breach gadget as the secondary gadget. really slept on by some teams, I feel.
Big opening kill from Leon. This time Rogue need to do more work on top of it. Need to make sure that they're not giving Faze back way into this round. Don't give them those kills. Don't allow them to get themselves established. Keep on top of them. Don't give them the time to think. Cyber down at the bottom of the main stairs here, just looking to continue the push upwards, but Leon's holding that vertical angle for the time being. They're going to know exactly where he is as they see the Toxic Babe canister come through. Deepek, the hero of round 3, manages to find a headshot onto Astro. It's 5 versus 3 in favour of Rogue.
Could be a Deepek game here on Villa. 6-2 he sits at here across those first 4 rounds. Although I always look back to how Kanto started on the prior map. Real sharp to begin with, and then things slowly started to slip away from them. Cameraman's waiting inside a study here as well, just knows exactly what they want to do in terms of the plan, but need the rest of the team to get into position. Souls has been flirting with whichever player is hanging up on top for the longest time, and now there are only 2 left. Could get stabbed in the back here by, I believe it's Cryan playing up behind him, but it's Cameraman in sight alone. Souls comes through, 1 off towards 90. Cameraman finished off by the smoke, finds a second. Surely we don't see a second big clutch in a row.
Toxic Babe canister comes out, which just takes a bit of damage away from Souls. Every little helps as Deepek shuts him down. And once again, another final kill for Deepek and another round for Rogue. It is now leveled up at 2-2, and Rogue, they desperately need these defensive rounds.
It was really hard for Faze because Rogue had wasted so much time up around trophy and statuary area. We started with Kanto up there early in the round, but as he fell back towards site, Faze felt they cleared that part of the map, only for Cryan to come and be a bit of a backstab coming up the Astro stairs. It's exactly the same kind of game plan that Faze employed against W7M yesterday, and they've just been stung by exactly the same thing. It's good play by Rogue, not quite playing into their angles, but being a little bit more sneaky there and trying to catch Faze off guard, wasting time, burning through drones. Really good stuff.
Now comes a bigger test for Rogue. They've got themselves a couple of rounds in the bag, but they're going to have to move down to dining and kitchen this time. So they're onto what would normally be considered a third choice site here to try and lock it down, try and keep that momentum going. Faze have got an opportunity to open things up. They're going to have the book on side from Souls, so that would indicate to us that they're likely going to try and get top floor control and open up those angles down into site. In doing so, they're not really necessarily looking for kills, but what they are looking for is to create space, to create areas where the defenders can't safely play anymore, and then they can move in and get that diffuser down. But there's going to be a number of obstacles to overcome, and the first is going to be Spite.
He can be quite the obstacle. That's been quiet so far in the grand final. I say quiet, it's still added up some kills to his team's total, but not been the wonder kid that we've seen throughout the groups and throughout most of the playoffs, you know, walking through 2Ks and 3Ks. Big clutch player. It could be him versus Astro up here as well, onto the balcony, and Spoit was just looking from there for a second, but Astro dropped away at the exact perfect microsecond.
You just know Spoit was ready to go out of that window if the opportunity was there. He would have done anything for that kill. The other element, the other main obstacle for Faze here is going to be Leon on that pulse. Keep an eye on him because he's got Nitro in hand. We see quite a lot of success once the heartbeat scanner is working as well, but even once that explosive has gone, it's about the information he's going to be feeding into Spoit. Cryan needs to be careful because he might find himself challenged quickly here, but he's ready, Des! He's ready! And he takes down Bullet!
Ready for the read as well, ignores the Lion scan coming in. He knew exactly what was going to happen as a result. So many times he's seen utility followed up by action from the side of Faze, and Rogue are starting to read into that now. They've lost out more often than not, but they're starting to get back in. If Cryan can get back towards sight here, after getting his second kill, he could juice himself up. But who needs sight? He's down in the basement. A 1v1 against Cyber is inevitable. It's just a matter of time of one of them stepping through this doorway, and who's going to blink first?
Cryan doesn't need to peek here. The flashbang comes in, tells him Cyber's location, but Cyber is the one to blink, decides he's having none of that challenge and drops back.
Oh,
the push into Memorial, but Deepek gets his man. Cameraman manages to get the trade, but now finds himself, effectively, it was a 1v5, it's now a 1v4. He's trying to peek around into sight. They know where he is. They shut him down. Kanto with the final kill of the round, and Rogue for the first time on Villa take the lead. It's 3-2.
3 rounds on the bounce as well, Tim. That's the biggest one. It's about in trophy and statuary. The site we've seen them step into a couple of times so far, and not ignoring Faze's excellent execute as well. Bullet holding up as a big clutch, and Rogue were a little bit skittish on this site, moving around a bit too much, looking to play on flanks all on the same floor. It was too predictable for Faze. So I want to see a little bit of difference here. Maybe some playing down below. Inside of dining might not be the end of the world for them.
For me, the last few rounds there for Rogue, Des, it feels like they've woken up. They haven't just won some rounds there. Rogue felt different in those last 3 rounds. It felt almost inevitable a lot of the time. And that's exactly what they need. It's the same exact thing that we saw against Xset. They were struggling, and then it's like a switch was flicked, and they said, nope, not today. This is not happening. And it just feels like they might have flick that exact same switch there over the last few rounds. Last defense coming up. It's going to be trophy statuary, and Rogue could well steal away a 4-2 half.
Oh, we know for Rogue it's win or nothing, right? That's the
Simple
motto of the
as that.
competition. You're seeing it written on signs everywhere. Win or nothing.
Win or nothing.
Sure got to win this round here. It's not quite nothing if they lose it, but 3-3 would feel reasonable in terms of how the half will then have played out. A win here, though, puts them up to 4-2 and gives them that nice little cushion to play with going into the first couple of attacking rounds. I always think back and remember Rogue very fondly from Stage 3 of EUL. They're one of the first teams that said, on a map like Villa, we're not bringing Harbreach. And everyone was like, what? We had no Hibana, no Ace, nothing to open up Study Wall, because their whole game plan was all 5 players get inside sight at the same time. We push it through single windows. They can't possibly kill us all. And they showed time and time again, not just on Villa, but across several maps, that all-in team aggression was such a viable formula on how to play the game, almost a little bit ahead of its time, dare I say. And these days, a lot of teams are employing that. Leon the first to go down this time round as cameraman finds him on the bathroom window.
Cyber's heading in underneath quickly as well. There's not going to be anybody there to challenge him at the minute, and he might have an opportunity to get a few nades going, especially after that opening kill onto Leon on the alibi. It's just going to give them a little bit more space, because Rogue can't necessarily now dedicate somebody to playing underneath. Cameraman at long range is going to be opening up the triple wall as well. Cyber still very cautiously proceeding here. I don't think he's got necessarily too much drone information ahead of him. He's not 100% certain, but he's safe for now.
He's still got Crying looking to challenge
For
here.
now.
Sure, for a second he was about to meet into Bullet, but there's 2 kills elsewhere. They've flooded into site team, they've killed the site players, and there's no one really left for Rogue. You got Kanto and Crying both grouping up around red. But Crying's thinking about maybe a solar push coming through here, but that doesn't mean the plant won't go down. Crying shut down. It's Kanto, the last one left standing. There's enemies at the gates on all sides at this point. He brings down 1, but has got 4 more to do, and Nade chases him down, and Faze closed the half up 3-3.
Well, we've had 3 halves so far, effectively, Des. We had 2 halves back on Border, and we've had our first half on Villa, and every one of them has been 3-3. There is so little between these 2 teams, whether it's defense, whether it's attack. This is one of the closest matchups that I can remember seeing between 2 teams in a major final.
I agree. We've seen swings, mind you. Like, think about SSG versus NIP. Started out very dominant towards NIP, then swung back the other side. We had Liquid versus NIP at SI21. That went all the way through to 5, but it was very clear at that point that Liquid were just out of steam, having already played their lower bracket final earlier in the day. It was a lot of siege to get through. And this is an interesting setup, Tim. This mirror window that's gone down inside of Astro, looking in towards Trophy itself. I'm looking at that and thinking, well, you can take that out from the window if you're not too careful. The exact angle, I think, is more locked off, but Crime will be looking for that twitch, that shock drone, to get in and take that one out for free.
It's going to be important that they do. You know, we know the power of Mirror and holding on to Master Bedroom particularly. If they're able to do it from behind there, it's quite a bold call, really. Like you say, it's not one that we see done too often. The problem is, if the Twitch drone is able to get in there and take that Mirror window out, then you're kind of doing the attacker's job for them. You're giving them a line of sight from Master Bedroom window all the way through into Trophy, and that is a problem. So they really need to be on top of stopping that from happening. The other problem with it is, from the bathroom side, it may be reasonably easy to get in and to smash that mirror window out from the other side. So they need to make sure that Astro is covering bathroom as well. I don't mean Astro, the player, I mean the location.
Great play. Drone comes in, taken out by bullets. Spoy is immediately there to take the gunfight. You can see the drone, but you get a kill, and that is a trade you will make every single day of the week.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've seen that used a couple of times where people, I've said it before, the closer you are to your drone as an entry, the closer you are to that drone in front of you, as it goes into the building, the more aggressive you're playing. The higher risk, but the more aggressive. But when you play like that, you give the defenders a choice. I shoot the drone or I wait for the man. Which is it going to be? There might be a nade to follow. There might be, you know, a second challenge coming in from another direction. So most players, as defenders, will choose to take the drone, but so often they are losing their life because their ADS is down at the floor.
Cameraman still sat downstairs. We just saw him barricading up the memorial door, largely unchallenged by the side of Rogue. I think Kanto has now taken it upon himself to go and hunt him down, but he's opened up a lot of these shotgun holes in the floor. That means it's almost impossible for Rogue to go pushing him blindly through sight here. They'll have to clear him out first. Rogue is still about half the round to play through here. They'll have a lot of time to play with. And clearing out Cameraman should maybe be something they can prioritize because, as said, that C4 sat in back pocket could be the kind of thing that ends the round.
Just clearing out the one-eye magnet in front of them there. I think we're going to see Spoit send a nade into sight, just looking to clear the behind, the back of that mirror position so they can start challenging Master Bedroom. Leon, he finds Souls. 5 versus 3. There's a pre-placed Nitro on the floor though. Cameraman pings it out. He's looking for a shout, but Leon is going to take down Astro. Leon going big here in round 7. Rogue continue fighting, continue pushing their way into sight. Cameraman with the pre-placed Nitro manages to find one. Cryan shuts him down underneath though. Leon with his third in the round. That's going to be a big round from Leon Gids, and that's going to be Rogue going ahead for 3.
Those hero plays, but a round is a round, Tim, no matter how you get there.
See one of our UK casters, Jerry, there in a tasty shirt today, just enjoying along with the rest of the crowd. For Faze now, Des, I feel like they need to try and pick the pace up a little. The pace being at a high tempo has suited Faze more than anything else so far today. I feel like they need to be trying to find those quick early kills again, like they were on board. They're just really starting to stagnate a little bit at the minute.
They are trying. They had that challenge onto the master window as soon as they knew that Leon was out on the balcony. They were there ready to go for the challenge, but Leon just a little bit too sharp. It's something I speak about in Siege. There's sort of the two halves to it, the two sides of the coin. You have the strategy side and the FPS side. You can be the best strategical side in the world, but if you aren't winning your gunfights, it can all mean absolutely squat. And that's what you saw a little bit in that round. Faze didn't play it bad, I thought, was still looking for the early aggression. But Rogue, Leon especially, were just that little bit better. This round could be a saucy one too, as you've got Cryan here playing on the Amaru. It's not always a scream and shout, get excited moment when you do see the Amaru, because it's not always going to be something that comes hopping into a window or up through a hatch. Often it can just be to get quick entry into the map early in the round. So look out for that. You might see Cryan bursting in towards 90. But for now, the whole of Rogue is focusing on this bottom stairs, the main stairs push.
Spoit's getting really aggressive here. Nade is going to go in. There's nobody behind that shield. He's safe to proceed. They're just waiting for that to explode. Cryan manages to find Cameraman, but it's immediate trade from Astro, leaving us now in a 4v4. Spoit continues this push though, and instead of Faze trying to up the tempo, up the aggression, it's Rogue here on the back of a couple of rounds that are starting to build that confidence.
Deepet's got to find Bullet here, who's sat at the top of 90 as well. They're surely going to come head-to-head any moment now. But I think more than anything else, that came down to Cryan going into 90. Sure, he died out, but found a man first that cleared 90. That meant Rogue could get the early control they needed. For Bullet, he's now pulled back towards top red. So very slowly, Rogue are boxing members of Faze in towards red stairs, away from their entry into the map itself. Faze like Liquid just moving around them as well. Not feeling they have to go too aggressive here. Just let Rogue come at you.
Kanto just paints a picture on the wall around Cyber there, unfortunately. As Cyber steps out, gets himself a solid headshot into Study and just really slows down that Rogue progress. Leon is low health as well as he tries to move through. Ooh, nearly catches the head of the man just behind the map's door at the top of red stairs. Spoit gets Cyber, and that might just give Faze something to think about.
But one more juice here as well. Top Leon up before they try and make their play. You got Souls sat in behind the bar at this point. They're waiting for him to step out for any kind of swing, but he's being so patient so far. Astro also just outside of the aviator door, which has now been smoked off. And Rogue looking for the angle in. They're rotating instead here over towards this 90 corridor. They're thinking about pushing into Souls, as they'll have a great angle to press into.
Hard right of the wall is going to be the problem, as Leon finds out. He gets one, but no. Cut down in a trade by Spoit, leaving us now effectively 2v2, but Astro gets the kill onto Spoit at the single door. It's all up to Deepek. We've seen him do it before, but it's a big ask for him here. Another problem for him is that Souls is down inside of sight, so he's acting as a live camera at the minute. He can tell the them, look, he isn't pushing through single door here, so there's got to be a bit of focus towards maps from Faze. They know where he is, and you can see them just dropping away, just lengthening the line of engagement here, and just prodding from either side until they get the kill. Just toying with Deepek, keeping him on a string and shutting him down.
Really smart play from Faze. I spoke about how in the round they were like Liquid, just moving around Rogue, letting them take what they wanted to, and playing those longer angles. The number of teams I've seen play on Villa in the last few months that have been really punished by those feet-level holes down the 90 corridor is unbelievable.
1-1 so far in the second half. One successful attack for Rogue, one unsuccessful.
That was the angle I was talking about here.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I won't lie, Soul's so unfortunate to not pick up Spoit there as well. Shotgun at that range should be a kill every day of the week, but I think some of the soft debris just blocking some of the damage coming out, which means he doesn't complete the kill.
It was really well played from Souls. I can tell you from watching many of Souls' games that it is one of his, what would say necessarily a party trick, but he likes to just tuck himself away in a tight corner like that. He's got amazing trigger discipline, and he will just wait for the perfect moment that push comes round. I've seen him do it so many times, and that was absolutely no different. It really gave FaZe the boost that they needed in the late round. Round number 9 is going to see us potentially have Astro throwing a Nitro out a master bedroom window here. He's just waiting, but unfortunately for him, Leon has gone the other way.
Otherwise, could have been a beautiful start. Not quite in the same manner we saw back on Border, where it was spraying through doors and soft walls and windows, you name it. But instead looking for those cheeky spawn kill C4s that I'm sure we've all been the victim of in ranked at least a couple of times. You've got Crying looking to move his way up through red. He's got Bullet off towards his left-hand side, so he's got to be wary here. But by the looks of it, Bullet has actually moved all the way up towards north side now, as well as got Souls on his south. So Crying very much in a dangerous spot here. The Hunter has become the hunted, as Souls knows roughly where he is.
I think Crying has an idea, but the ping comes out to tell him there's somebody just maybe pushing Memorial as well, so he's going to turn attention possibly in the wrong direction here. Astro gets a headshot onto Deepek, and as you say, Rogue may be in a position to try and take a little bit of ground here, but they need to make sure that they're not ignoring what's behind them. How about that? Cameraman finding the melee kill onto Kanto as he tries to step in, seeing the Nitro toss. He thought it was his opportunity, but he couldn't get the job done.
At that kind of range as well, you're hoping to complete the kill as Leon comes swamping in. They've got the control, steps in for a second. His second 3K in the game. Leon is on fire in this game and is in a spot to make a plant happen. Spoit is holding Memorial, Crying, overseeing Leon as he gets the plant work done. And Spoit here versus Souls is the big one, and Souls wins it out. Crying steps in, wins out the trade. It's a 2v1 against Astro.
It's all getting a bit frantic inside a site there. You just felt for a second Crying and Leon might clash, but the only clash that matters is Leon and Astro in a 1v1. Leon with another triple kill round, bringing it home for Rogue.
Huge 4K. 4 time and time again. The Leon Classic. This is pure chaos in itself. That push in from Kanto not quite going the way intended, but Cyber's dropped down for the support. Also really smart. But fundamentally, Leon was the difference maker there. Again, a huge 4K. And FaZe take this opportunity for a timeout, acknowledging that maybe the game could start to run away from them here.
Exactly that, just feeling that they need to hit the pause button, they need to do something to break the momentum, take Rogue off the tracks that they are currently on, because they're steaming towards a victory right now. They haven't got themselves too much distance between them on the scoreboard, but as I said, over this course of Villa, particularly from about round 4 onwards, you just feel like Rogue have flicked that switch and they've really started to up their game. They've gone into another gear here, and I think FaZe can feel that too. Taking the tack time out and just trying to slow down that progress. We're going to have FaZe going to Trophy and Statuary. It was the site that we saw them defend first time around. They were unsuccessful. Rogue able to get the win on the attack, and it was reasonably comprehensive actually from Rogue.
All right, can you hold on at this point, Rogue, as well? We've seen things get clawed back and forth. FaZe were up 6-4 at one point on Border. For Rogue to win the next 2 rounds and career us through to overtime in what turned to be an absolute war between the two, all the way up to round 15. Rogue win here, they get 2 rounds clear and have 2 opportunities to close things out again on a map that they have not played for a long, long time. But it would be a classic best of X series, Tim, to be honest with you, if the teams were to win each other's maps to start it out.
I mean, when we talk about each other's maps, we know both of these teams have got, you know, reasonably good map pools. They've got a lot of familiarity. They are able to play, you know, almost anything that you're going to put in front of them. And they're proving that here. And that's exactly what we want from the teams in a major grand final, really at the top of their game. Cameraman just trying to hold on to the angle of Study. It gets difficult to hear myself in here as the crowd are just willing Rogue towards a victory.
It's starting out with some smaller chants that are more like the football chants we're used to in the UK that then gets drowned over by those that are like, well, I don't know that chant, so I'll just do...
I'll get on board, though. Let's make some noise.
Let's make some noise. It's not a bad thing at all.
Just going to have a little peek onto the bottom of Astro Stairs there, Crying. Able to escape without taking nor dealing any damage. And he's just going to disappear off into the map a little bit. Bullet looking for the peek out of the window there. Needs to be careful because Crying is on the downstairs and he might just be looking to catch his man. He's moved around. He's going to take out the default cam, but he doesn't know he's there. And he runs headlong into Bullet.
That's the problem here. You're relying on Crying to do a lot by himself as the lurk player. Droning himself in, finding out information on that Jackal. But really, he needs some support if you know there's going to be roamers. And I've said already about the game between W7M and Faze yesterday. Faze love playing the map. They will challenge every inch of it given the choice. And at the minute, Rogue are giving them that choice, and it's looking like a really fine one to take, Tim.
Leon knows there's somebody at the bottom of Astro Stairs, but I don't think he's got anybody on the underneath in support, so they can't work a pinch, they can't work to cut that player off, and it's just going to allow Faze to have somebody out there in the map that is a nuisance, and right now that's, I think, what Rogue are looking to deal with. You can see Kanto on the Iana. He's looking to make his presence known on the underneath. He's in the clone at the minute, just trying to find this player. Have they come back upstairs? Where are they? And this is a little bit of a problem for Rogue because it's going to eat away at their confidence of that final push onto site.
Deepek's droning in Kanto at this point. They know that one's on top red stairs, but do they know Bullet's joined in for a bit of a 2 versus 1 potentially? Cameraman's dipped away as Spoit comes in. Shotgun in hand could be enough to get this closed down. Spoit does win that 1 versus 1. And that's the kind of play you're looking for, to open up top red stairs. Now Cyber will be the second challenger on red stairs. You can see his outline on your screen as Kanto steps round. Nade coming through, just about dodges away from a couple of shots coming in there.
He needs to be very, very aware of red stairs here. Bullet manages to pick up Deepek as Spoit forces the player back. Leon onto Bullet with the immediate trade. 3v2, 2v2 as Souls manages to find him. This is just back and forth. These two are just wailing on each other. Kanto just manages to find Souls. Cyber. He's going to take the man down. This is effectively 1v1 until Kanto gets put back on his feet, and that is now Cyber pushing forward, looking to get aggressive. He's got a bit of information ahead of him, but it's not enough. It doesn't matter what he knows, because Kanto knows more. That clutch coming out of Rogue, managing to close things down. 6-4, as you say, 2 more chances for them to close this down. But I think it's quite clear here what everybody wants to see, Des. Just 1 more from Rogue.
1 more round. That's all they need. That's all they need.
Honestly, never at an event have I had to turn up the volume of you in my ears. If anything, Des, I normally try to turn you down. I normally
Straight down to 0.
Down to 0, and I try to ignore it.
And just wait until the mouse stops moving, and then you talk.
I'll just come in. I don't listen to a thing you say.
I love how much of a team game it's feeling as well between both of these. I know we're seeing lots of big clutch rounds, but it's not like it's 1 or 2 players dropping 20 kills and dragging the team through. Looking down the side of Rogue, the lowest is Kanto, who just clutched out the last round, sat at 5 and 8. On the other side, I will say I've been watching him across these 2 maps. Cyber has been quiet. He's been arguably one of my favourite players to watch. There's been a few new players that I haven't watched too much of before. Cyber's probably up there with one of them. I have cast him a number of times, but it's like, okay, cool, he's had a cool couple of tournaments, but he's really been shining here, like dragging his team through some rough games. But Souls, he's been a man that's also on one, 10 and 8 so far. It's a bit of a trade, though. Not onto the same players. Spoit finds Bullet.
And that's something that Rogue have done particularly well. We saw it in the last round with the back and forth, even when they're losing players, and it's not something they did on Border a lot. It's not something they did in the first 3 rounds here on Villa. But when they're losing a player, they're able to then have an impact back themselves. They've got an answer waiting, and that has been particularly important for them. At the minute, Faze, for me, they feel a little bit broken, Des, if I'm honest. The last few rounds, it feels like it's got on top of them. The tack timeout didn't really do the job, and they're on the struggle bus at the minute.
I'm so excited for the next couple of maps, though, Tim. We've got Skyscraper and Bank waiting for us. Both of these teams' top maps.
Skyscraper's going to be a classic.
It's my favourite map. I enjoy watching it so much, and knowing we've got 2 of the best teams in the world on it right now, about to head to that, in itself is a real tantalising prospect. For now, at least, though, Cryan has kept himself alive on the Jackal instead of being picked off early. Sees a man up on the bed napping, but can't quite finish him off.
Does take a little bit of chip damage though. Souls does manage to get himself juiced back up at one of those corner salvation stations that the Thunderbird has placed earlier in the round. Rogue just feeling like they might have stalled out a little bit here. They're still not sure of the top floor control. Leon's going to come head-to-head with Cameraman, and he's going to find a bullet in his head as Cameraman manages to take him down with the SMG. A lot of damage done in return, but as I said, there are Thunderbird gadgets on site that Cameraman will be able to use. Spoit, he's working for a backstab here. I don't think they know that he's inside a sight. That's one. Can he get a second? Cameraman is low health. There could be an opportunity here. It's 2v3.
But the thing is, Tim, the diffuser's down inside red corridor at this point. They've got to really fight to get this one back. They might have sight, but without the diffuser, it's worth nothing to you. Souls has stepped out wide as well. They're going to have to come pushing down red here as well. And they're a loose idea as to where the man is playing. But do they know that he's on the other side of the soft wall? I really doubt they do.
Working together here so they can at least have an impact on each other's fights, but they then separate. They're looking for the pinch. Saber manages to get one, but there's a big double from Deepak. Surely not again, Des. We've seen this before. It was a 1v3. It's now a 1v1. Deepak, he's looking for his man. He sees him inside.